Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lothering. Let's finish off this town. Liliana, did we already
Yes?
talk to you? What do you know of this place? I don't think we've
Lothering?
really talked to you
I
yet.
think it started as a
Lothering,
settlement by the
Lothering,
river,
however the fuck
and
you say
then
it.
grew when it became the place where two roads met. There are always people in Lothering,
person
but
just
many
spawned
are
over
just
there.
passing through.
Okay, let's talk about, let's talk about something else.
Yes?
Yes. Oh, yeah, Lilith to yourself. What more do you know of this place?
Lothering? I think it started. There
Okay,
are
yeah.
always people in
Just said
Lothering.
that.
but-
Alright, let's talk about
yes?
something else. I'd like to talk. Let's talk about something else. I'd like to talk. I think you should go. I'd like to
Well,
talk.
here I am.
This vision of yours. What was life like in the Chantry? It's this vision
I
of
knew
yours.
this would come up sooner or later.
Sooner it
I don't
is.
know how to explain, but I had a dream. In it, there was an impenetrable
Malcolm?
darkness.
Or
It
Martin.
was so
Not Malcolm.
dense, so
Martin.
real. And there was a noise, a terrible, ungodly noise. I stood on a peak and watched as the darkness consumed everything. And when the storm swallowed the last of the sun's light, I fell. And the darkness drew me in.
So it's just a dream. Why say it's a vision? You dreamed of the blight. That doesn't mean anything. What then? You dreamed of the blight?
I
Question mark.
suppose I did. That was what the darkness was, no? When I woke,
Most
I
likely,
went
yeah.
to the Chantry's gardens, as I always do. But that day, the rosebush in the corner had flowered. Everyone knew that bush
okay.
was dead. It was grey and twisted and gnarled, the ugliest thing you ever saw. But there it was, a single beautiful rose. It was as though the Maker
Wow.
stretched out his hand to say, even in the midst of this darkness, there is hope and beauty. Have faith.
Okay, that's just wishful thinking, Leliana. And this made you want to help me. Did you hear voices? I don't need your maker interfering in my life. This made you want to help
In
me?
my dream, I fell. Or maybe I jumped. I'd do anything to stop
What
the
is this
blight.
lady doing behind us?
I know that we can do it. There are so many good things in the Maker's world. How can I sit by while the blight devours everything?
Right. Gotcha. Okay. The Chantry says the Maker has left us. The blight is the Maker's punishment. Will you defy him? I mean, I'm not going to shit on her religion for no good. I don't really know dick about her religion, so I'm not really going to go shitting on it that quickly, at least. I suppose I couldn't sit by either. The Chantry says the Maker has left us.
He's still here. I hear him in the wind and the waves. I feel him in the sunlight that warms my skin. I know what
Yay,
the Chantry says
Maker.
about the Maker, and what should I believe? What I feel in my heart, or what others tell me?
Good point. Are you saying the Chantry is wrong? Believe what feels right to you, Leliana. Yeah, I'm probably going to say that one. Just make sure your beliefs aren't a hindrance. I understand. Let's move on. Believe what feels right to you, Leliana.
Thank you.
Do
It's
your own
nice
fucking
to find
thing, huh?
someone who agrees. I know what I know, and no one
Could
will
we
ever make
potentially
that
smash
untrue.
Leliana and Morrigan? Yeah, +4. Cool. Refugee, have you talked to you? Okay, yeah, you don't have anything to say. I think you should go. Nothing, never mind. What do you know about this place?
Well,
is there anything else I can talk to you
Here I
about?
am.
What was life like in the Chantry cloister?
Quiet.
Cloister?
It was a
Something
life
like that.
suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away
Cloister,
from
yeah.
the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in
I
that
am excited to
stillness,
see some of the
I could
cities.
hear the
I remember them
Maker,
being pretty
but it was
fucking
not
cool.
perfect.
At least
Some of
in,
my Chantry fellows
Inquisition.
were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Condescending? How so? Yes, they tend to be self-righteous. That's why I'm not particularly fond of them. How so?
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself
It's tough when
in
you
the beauty
when you
of his
want to.
world.
I'm not a big religious
They
guy,
treated me with disdain.
but like if I can
They
smash
want
both
to
of them
believe
at the
that he's
same
God,
time,
so that when he turns his gaze
I'm gonna
on
do what I
them,
gotta do to
it
get
means they
there.
are
You know.
special, chosen. He
I
cannot
swear I'm not a
possibly have
dickhead
love
in
for
real
all.
life. It's just
The
it's a
sick and the
video
weary,
game.
the
You know, you
beggars
gotta
and the
live it to your
fools.
fullest. I didn't listen to a single thing you just said. He cannot possibly have love for all the sick, the weary, the beggars, and the fools. I don't really want the Maker looking in on me anyway. What did you say to them? I prefer your ideas of the I prefer your ideas to the ideas of the Chantry, but you must earn the Maker's blessing. Yeah, I prefer
Thank
your
you.
ideas.
Maybe I am wrong.
You're welcome.
But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the Chantry. But there is work to be done, and I have talked enough for now.
Okay.
Yes?
Anything else that would... Yeah, you've
Well,
talked enough. Well, I'd like to talk, motherfucker. What would someone like you be doing in Lothering's chantry?
what is meant by someone like me?
It's a fantastic question, Severin. What do we mean by that? You also seem to be... you just don't seem to belong in a cloister. You know, a beautiful, charming woman like yourself. Woohoo! Day you right. Sanctimonious, preachy, like all other chantry zealots. Yeah, what are you doing with other zealots, you zealot? They don't teach you how to fight in the cloister, do they? Yeah, a beautiful, charming woman like
And there
yourself.
were no beautiful, charming women in the cloisters, you think? You would be wrong. There were many
See if
lovely young
Morgan
initiates in
approves
the
of this.
Lothering
Hope
cloister.
she's not listening in on
All
this
of them
conversation.
chaste and virtuous. It added to their mystique. Because
Mm-hmm.
then, they were forbidden. And forbidden fruit is the sweeter, no?
So I see. So, can we get back to Lothering now? Those initiates initiates can't have been more lovely than you. How much can I flirt on this girl? What about your fruit? Is it forbidden? Damn, Severin. That's what they say. Gosh, do I already start going that? Fuck it. What about
My
your fruit? Oh, God.
Well, it is not technically forbidden, but it's not freely
Lady
given
just gave me
either.
some side eye.
Not everyone gets a bite.
I wasn't
I
saying
can't
that.
believe I'm having this conversation. But no, I did not take vows. The chantry
She,
provides
I don't think she'll
succor
like that
and
very
safe
much.
harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
Just needed to know. What did you do before that? Affirmed. Why were you seeking safe harbor? So your skills were learned before your time in the chantry. What did you do
I
before
was a
that?
traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I
Interesting.
performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
that's true. That's true.
Let's move on.
She actually approved of that. I am astonished that that did not get me down
Yes?
the fucking
Something
drain.
you need?
Talk to you about something.
What's on your mind?
What is on my mind? Oh my God, so much more. Why did you decide to come to
My
Ferelden?
mother was from Denerim, and I consider myself a Ferelden. Mother served an Orlesian noblewoman who lived here when Orlais ruled. When Orlais was defeated and the common folk began to resent the presence of any Orlesian, the lady returned to Orlais. She took my mother with her. I was born in Orlais and did not set foot in Ferelden till much later. Mother was always telling me stories of her homeland. I think she missed it.
Okay, what happened to your mother?
Mother died when I was very young. Lady Cecily let me stay with her. I had no one else.
Cecily.
She was quite old then, and she had me study music and dance to entertain her. It is unfair that I have more memories of Cecily than my mother.
That's true. Do you remember nothing of your mother? You were young, it's understandable. What was Cecily like? Yeah, do you remember nothing of your mother?
Strangely, the only thing I really remember of Mother was her scent. She kept dried flowers
That
in
is
her
really
closet
strange.
amongst her clothes. Small white Ferelden wildflowers with a sweet fragrance. Mother called them Andrastis Grace. They were very rare in Orlais. But enough about that.
I
Let
feel like
us
we're
move
definitely going to be able to find a gift. A gift for Leliana that is those, whatever the fuck you
Yes?
just mentioned.
on. Something you need?
They mentioned certain gifts that are, like, specific to certain people, you know. I'd like to talk to you about
Yes?
something. What was on my
What's
mind?
on your mind?
Do you miss anything about Orlais?
I miss Valroyaux. Unlike
Valroyaux.
other cities where the people are the lifeblood and the character, Valroyaux was her own person, and her people little more than decorations. There was always music in Valroyaux, streaming from the many windows,
Valroyaux.
quiet refrains and triumphant choruses, and always
I feel like I can't even
floating
say
above
it in
that
the
orb,
same accent
the
that she's
chant,
using.
coming from the Grand Cathedral. It was magnificent.
Is that all? Sounds wonderful. I've never been to Orlais. Yeah, just it sounds
Oh,
wonderful.
it would take me a day or two to talk about the many splendors of Orlais, her golden fields, her lush meadows. Of course, there are good things and bad things about Orlais, like anywhere else. Sometimes
Right, yeah.
I miss it dearly, and sometimes I'm glad I'm rid of it. And you will laugh at this, but I miss the fine things I had in Orlais.
What sort of things? It must have been a big change moving to Lothering. Do you not have fine things now? It must have been a big change moving to
I
Lothering.
left behind much, leaving Orlais. But there is more to life than dresses and furs.
Right,
It is
right.
sad that many have lost sight of this. Orlais is very fashionable, almost ridiculously so. But the shoes. Living with
Oh,
this
the
ridiculous
shoes.
trend was worth it for the shoes.
What's so special about shoes? Shoes are shoes. They're there to keep your feet dry. Oh, I love shoes. Were they ridiculous shoes? What do you mean by that, Severin? What do you mean by that? I never really liked that bottom option. You know, it's always, it's kind of always like the dick option. Oh, I love shoes.
When I left Orlais, the fashion was shoes with delicate
My brain, I
embellishments in
cannot
the
say
front.
that in like an
A
actually
ribbon,
excited
perhaps,
voice.
Or embroidery. In soft colors, of course. It was spring.
All right. Yeah, you've lost me. Oh, that sounds lovely. Wouldn't that be hard to walk in? Must have cost a lot of gold. Oh, that sounds
I had
lovely.
my eye on a pair my shoemaker was working on.
Just
It was
pure
covered in
bullshitting
pale
my way
blue
through this
silk
conversation.
with amber beads on the toe. The shoes made in Orlais were exquisite. Not at all like these clunky fur-lined leather boots you have in Ferelden. Ugh, just look at
Hey.
them.
You don't need fancy shoes to make you beautiful. I know, right? So ugly and shapeless. They're comfortable. At least they keep the cold out. You don't need fancy shoes to make you beautiful.
Thank you. It's kind of you to say so, even wearing these mud-covered horrors. They're sturdy shoes,
Just gotta
but sometimes
keep
a
hitting
girl
on her.
just
You
wants
know,
to have
just
pretty
laying
feet.
it out.
Oh, I could talk about shoes all day, but we have things to do, don't we?
Oh, thank God we got off that conversation. +1, god damn it. I mean, that's good, but it's not. I feel like it could have been better. All right.
Yes?
We got more to
Something-
talk about, Leliana. Don't you worry.
What's on your mind?
You were a traveling minstrel. Do you have any tales to share?
Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
All right. Just briefly change the subject. Tell me about Darkspawn. Know any stories from LA? Do you know any Ferelden legends? There was another story I wanted to hear. Tell me about Darkspawn, sure.
Chantry lore says it
Feel
is
like we'll be able
man's
to get to all
pride
of them.
that created the Darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know. In their pride, they thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So
Damn.
thinking, they invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure and full of sin. And it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life.
Can't be spreading that taint
Instead,
like that.
The Darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris.
Right. Know any stories from Orlais?
Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Orlais.
Go ahead. That sounds interesting. Actually, I don't have time for this right now. Yeah, go ahead.
A long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods. Before the
Damn,
cold
that's
could claim her,
fucking
the baby
insane.
was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield the sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot.
Continue. I saw that coming first. Continue, please.
Aveline's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier
She is
in
a
battle,
very long
and
storyteller.
wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine
I
horse
guess
and
I guess
armor,
they kind of all are.
and sent her to prove herself to her people in the Grand Tourney. Now, in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the Grand Tourney. But Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered.
Right. Did she win the tourney?
Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the Grand Melee. Aveline had already bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed.
Dog game
But the
beat by a
crowd
woman, though.
cheered
Come
for
on.
Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Oh my gosh. I was hoping for a happy ending. That's terrible. Perhaps we can continue this on a later date. I was hoping for a happy
The son
ending.
of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Aveline's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made
There we go.
king, he rewrote the laws of Olay so that women could also become chevalier. He honored
Chevalier.
Aveline and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is
sure that does a
knighted
lot for her.
reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
Okay. Do you know any Ferelden legends?
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth?
Flemeth. That is so funny that you bring that up. Yes, I've heard of Flemeth. Flemeth. Morgan's mother was called Flemeth. I met a Flemeth in the Kakari Wilds. No, I don't believe I've heard of. Yes, I've heard of Flemeth. I don't
Ferelden
want
mothers scare their daughters with
to,
talk of
spilling
Flemeth.
out
They
too
say
much
that
that
if you're
Morgan may
bad,
not approve of.
Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you.
Flemeth was once beautiful? Tell me the whole story. I don't have time to... Flemeth was once beautiful? That's
Flemeth's
news to
beauty
me.
was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea. When she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife. Conobar
You know
soon
Flemeth is going to be
learned
important
that
to the
his young
story
bride
when
had the
both
gift
of these characters
magic.
are talking about him.
He
About
kept
her.
this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years.
I really wish
and
Morgan
with
could,
his blessing,
could chime
she
into this.
practiced
Maybe
her
if I
art.
had
And
mentioned
then one day, a young poet
that
named
Morgan's mother
Osen
was
came to the
was
castle.
Flemeth.
Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love.
Ooh, the plot thickens.
Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasen tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her. But when Flemeth and Osen entered Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and
bastard.
Osen was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes. Flemeth was
Damn.
imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. Turning her
shit.
into an abomination, the halls of the castle ran red
I mean,
with
she
blood
was ugly,
as
but she
Flemeth
wasn't that
slaughtered
ugly.
Conobar and
She
all
seemed
his
kind of
men.
old.
The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn, she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many Chasen men, and with their help, begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
Okay. Yeah, let's, I don't know how well these, Leliana and Morgan are going to get along, but I guess we're going to find out. There was another story I wanted
Which
to
one?
hear, apparently. Do you know anything about the Dalish? What do you know about Andraste? Yeah, do you know anything
I
about
have
the
heard a
Dalish?
little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in a land of their own.
Didn't last.
The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe
that's
it.
kind of thing.
The chantry declared a wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved. Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens.
I'd be curious to go back and replay like just the start of the game. Choose to be all the different characters that you can possibly have, because there's six I think different storylines that you can different stories that you can start off with during the prologue. What do you know about Andraste?
Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved, and promised that he would create a paradise on earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him. And this is why Andraste began her
classic.
Every
human being in the world needs to become religious to one god.
To smite her enemies.
Classic.
Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker.
Short time again. How did Andraste die? How did Andraste die?
It was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste.
Also
her
pretty classic.
Her husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence
she did that stuff for him. Don't tell me he betrayed her. That's so messed up.
Began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hysarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured.
Oh, that's
Andraste
so
was
fucked
burned
up.
At the stake in the
Oh my
Narthus,
gosh.
the capital
It got even more fucked up. But Tevinter has a chantry, doesn't it? Why did the Maker not save her with his power? But Tevinter has a chantry, doesn't
the
it?
The Tevinter chantry claims that in Andraste's last moments, Hysarian's heart softened, and he heard the voice of the Maker telling him to end her suffering. He plunged his sword into her heart, and as her blood washed over his hands, he became one of the faithful. Dissenters said that the Archon only converted because he could not stem the tide of Andraste's cult, and was forced to do so to stay in power. We will never know for sure.
Okay, that makes sense. So, short time again, tell me about Andraste and the Maker again. Let's just move on. +5 for listening to all of her stories.
Yes?
Alright.
Something you need?
Nothing, never mind, I think we're good.
Yes?
I'd like to ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Okay, yeah, so alright, I was wondering if maybe Morgan would have something new to say after Leliana's story, but turns out, no, she does not.
Please, we can't.
Alright, let's keep going here. What do you have to say to us, Allison?
Hello, stranger.
Hello, Allison.
Don't suppose you know anyone that can make traps?
Make traps? Sorry, I can't make traps. I can't help you. Farewell. What do you need traps for?
Old Man Barlin said that Darkspawn may be coming soon.
Old Man Barlin.
He's got traps on his farm. I figured I'd put a few on my lands. Barlin
It
wants
makes
to
sense.
poison his traps. I just want normal traps.
Okay, fair enough. Why don't you just buy some? Barlin has poison traps on his land?
He doesn't have any poison yet, thank the Maker. So his fields are just full of traps.
That's good to know before we go out there.
Eccentric.
Why don't you just buy some? Sorry, why don't you just buy some?
None to be had. Marlin has all the traps in the village in his fields.
Sorry, I can't make traps. I can't help you. Farewell. Sorry,
I
can't
didn't mean
make
to
traps.
bother you. Sorry.
Can somebody help, though? Why can't I make traps? Is that just not a skill that we currently have? Skills. Yeah, is that just... That's gotta be... Trap making. Okay, yeah. So I need that skill first in order to be able to help. Well, that's pretty annoying. Yeah, the character has learned to construct basic traps and lures out of common components. Well, what the fuck? I would have loved to help Allison, but I guess I just can't. Ooh. 53 gold or bronze.
We were lucky. We had the coin to pay the toll for those bandits.
So I take it you did not enjoy your Templar training?
That's directed at me, I take it.
Do you see any others about who have failed at their religious instruction?
I didn't fail, I was recruited into the Grey Wardens.
And if you had not been recruited, what would have happened instead?
I would have turned into a drooling lunatic, slaughtered the Grand Cleric, and run through the streets of Denham in my small clothes, I guess.
Your self-awareness does you
gosh.
credit.
I thought you'd like that.
I brought my family to Lothering because I thought
Love the interactions between them all.
Got a brother that fell at Ostergar.
Oh,
Hope we're
that's
not
tough.
next.
Please, we came here to get away from the problem.
Yeah, I'm sure y'all did. Oh. Oh, that mill is very much not operational. Anything else around yonder? I thought there were 3 quests in this area. Oh, there are. It's just further away. Okay.
I don't like this place. Why did we come here?
As if we needed more fighting here.
I
Don't
brought
you
my
see how
family to
scared
Lothering
everyone
because
is?
I thought it would be safe.
Allow me. I could do that for you.
Leliana, where the hell are you? There you are. Yeah, we're gonna have to go back to all these chests. Longsword, sweet. Oh, and you get XP for it? Hell yeah, dog. Yeah, Leliana, can we just go back to all the Kinkari Wilds and have you do a bunch of work for us real quick? Alright. Elder Miriam.
You got a bed for the night. You taken care of.
Lady, are you taking care of? What's going on here? What? You think I'm a refugee? Actually, I was more hoping I could help you. Yeah, I was more hoping I could help
We need
you.
blades right now. We need beds, food, and an end to all these sad sots.
Well,
I don't
not
suppose you
much
know
I can help
anything
you
of
with that.
tonics, medicines, or herbs.
Do I? I know a bit of herbalism. There we go.
Then you may be able
Thank
to do
God.
some
Alright, I
lot
can
of
actually do
good.
something.
All manner of travellers come through, many injured or sick. We do our best, but we're out of supplies. There's medicinal herbs in the woods to the north. If you make a few poultices, I'll scrape together some sort of payment. I'll write all you need to know in this note here.
Sweet. More than just plants. Lothering. Yeah, more than just plants. Elder Miriam has requested that you use your skill with herbs to craft some lesser health poultices for the injured refugees of Lothering. 3 of these should suffice. Refer to her note for specifics. Ah, lesser health poultice. Ah, I see. Lesser lyrium potion and Mabari crunch. Alright, well, lesser health poultice. You said we need 3 of them? Bam, look at that, 3 of them. Achievement unlocked, Tinkerer. Cool. Screenshot, I don't receive, cool.
Have any luck finding herbs in the woods?
I didn't need them. There you go.
This will help
Nice and
many
easy.
people. You're a good sort, you know.
You're welcome. 50 silver. Sweet. That's how we do it. Oh, that couldn't have been much easier.